Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. He was the #1 U.S. stock market timer in the January 2020 edition of Timer Digest. He's speaking to us from Arizona. Welcome back, Mark.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Mark, can you give us just a little bit of a background for VRTrader.com?
Yeah, VR Trader, the initials emanate from the technical tool that I semi-created. I was influenced by another great technician many years ago called volume reversal, and that's what VR stands for, though the official name of the website is Leibovit VR newsletter. So basically, the premise of most of what we do is volume-related work, watching individual stocks and ETFs and sectors and so forth, both on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, but we throw a lot of elements into the soup, so to speak, even though the stock trades are more volume and pure technically oriented. The market calls, combine both contrary opinion and my, cyclical analysis that I do, including my annual forecast model. So the bottom line is, no one's 100%, but I've been doing it for 40 years and, I'm still a survivor, and, we still make, a little money at it and enjoy it. And fortunately, a few times along the way, we've been top ranked in the research. So if you want more information about our individual trades, again, we tend to be more shorter term in our forecasts, but we do have models like my forecast model, which looks out during the course of the year and tries to, predict as best you can with our crystal ball what the weeks or months might look at. But it's amazing, how the technical work is pretty darn good, and I've often said it's the closest thing in life we have to a crystal ball. We see where money flows are, where the new exciting opportunities are, where new technology is emerging, and so forth. So I think the volume analysis helps you determine that. And one of my big calls, which I'm not taking total credit for, but 2014. I was one of the first out there to identify the cannabis stocks as being an investment opportunity, and that was because of the volume we were seeing coming into some of the, at that time, very low-priced, almost a pure penny stock cannabis plays, huge amounts of volume coming in, so we knew somebody was getting seriously involved in that sector, and that triggered our buy. So we saw the same thing a couple of years ago for solar stocks. And, if you watch the numbers, you tend to see where the money is flowing, and we're following the dollar. That's really what VR and volume reversal is all about.
Do you still have a special offer for our listeners?
Still do. It's 2020 half off. When you go to the subscription page, you sign up for any particular newsletter, and when you get to the promo code section, you enter the promo code, which is 2020 half off, 2020 HALFOFF, and that gets you 50% off on any of the individual products on the screen.
Mark, is there any particular cycle that goes into the markets just before a U.S. presidential election?
Well, there are many studies done, mostly done by other analysts, but over the years, there's the 4-year cycle and there's a presidential cycle, and both the year of the election and what happens afterwards. Nothing is 100%, but there are patterns that have been studied over the years. One of my good friends, Don Violo, who is in Vancouver, does tremendous work with his Equity Clock website, talking about some cycles that he sees in the presidential and post-presidential cycles. But, to me, it's like my annual forecast model to a certain extent. it's your big picture view, but you got to look out the window and watch the shorter term indicators and see how they unfold as your time cycles unfold. So you want to make sure everything is in sync.
Some people have told me that they don't see much difference when different presidents come in, and even after the death of President Kennedy, they said the market was affected for only 1 or 2 days, and then it was back to normal trading. Is that normally what happens after an election or a major change in power?
Well, we saw what happened in March of this year with the COVID event. A major world event was quickly resolved in a matter of a few days. The whole event was a 10-day, 2-week event, and the market recovered. So yes, things tend to be crashes tend to be short-lived, even when we're going back to 1987 and what happened way back then with the October crash. It was all over essentially in 2 days, and the market treaded water a little bit and ultimately started moving higher. So I don't know. I guess it's just greed, money, the flow of capital. The markets are always there unless something else dramatic happens, like they closed the exchanges like they did back in 80. Well, actually, they did it after 9/11. I don't think they did it in 87. But they closed the market for a week. In that event, markets can't recover as quickly as you would like, but they still managed to do so. So I guess you got to be a proverbial optimist, because if you look at the last couple hundred years, stock trading since the buttonwood tree outside the New York Stock Exchange in the late 1700s, markets tend to trend higher regardless of wars and viruses and other crises that unfold. The Civil War here in the U.S. I mean, there are ups and downs, but net, prices still move higher. So I guess you got to be optimistic overall when there are crisis events. I mean, barring an asteroid hitting the Earth and it's all over for all of us, something of that magnitude. And I'm not exaggerating, because that is a risk. I mean, we will ultimately get hit by one unless our scientists are able to redirect it. And there's a lot of scientific efforts out there to do just that in case we ever, God forbid, had that type of risk. But barring something catastrophic like that, I think markets will move higher, even if there's wars and viruses and other intervening events and something going on that I don't know about changes that, but that seems to be the pattern in the last couple centuries.
The optimist in me says we'll land on that asteroid, mine the hell out of it, so by the time it gets to Earth, there's nothing left to hit. Right, we'll mine the gold and the lithium and the titanium, and that's probably the reason a lot of these efforts are now underway. There are, I think there was a vehicle, exploratory vehicle. They landed on an asteroid, took pictures of it recently, and there are minerals and opportunities up there that we're going to take advantage of. So it's are they doing it only for love? No, they're doing it because there's valuable things there that we could use and sell and take advantage of for our own progress. So money drives everything, Jim. What can I tell you? We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Aben Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Aben's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at abenresources.com.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlin, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, General Motors has come out with a totally electric Hummer, $113,000 US for the basic model. It sold out in 10 minutes. It's got 1,000 horsepower. The wheels can turn sideways so you can easily parallel park it. Is that the future of American SUVs, going all electric with massive horsepower?
Does it compete with the Tesla in terms of range? I don't know the details.
Well, if it's a big truck, you can pack a lot of batteries on board.
I suppose. I heard about it the last couple of days. I didn't really check all the details. You're giving me more than I know about it. Yes, absolutely. I mean, look, Elon Musk created those giant, trucks to replace the current big trucks that are on the 18-wheelers that are now on the road now. So we are moving toward away from fossil fuels, and that's the big picture trend. There's a lot of money to be made doing it. It does reduce emissions and clean up cities if you don't have gas-powered vehicles out there. So I'm not necessarily a proponent of only the green solution, but I don't think we're going to get without oil immediately as many would like to see happen. But that's clearly the trend, and I'm definitely would be supportive of that. I got to start looking up some details on that Hummer. That price tag is not something I'm interested in at the moment, however.
Well, it's sold out in 10 minutes, so you can't get one right now anyway.
Yeah, maybe you can buy them and flip them, right? Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. A futures market in Hummers.
Yeah.
Well, in Vancouver, Harbour Air is experimenting with an electrically powered float plane because their routes are all short, half an hour, 45 minutes, so there's no problem with that kind of range.
Sounds good to me. That's good.
Now, if they could just make the planes less noisy.
Well, the Green Deal advocates here in the U.S., I mean, they want to get rid of cows and they want to get rid of all airplanes altogether. So, maybe if there's a solution that would, assuming they're going to prevail, I don't think that's going to happen so fast, but if there was a technology that would completely eliminate emissions, I mean, you would think that a uranium-powered aircraft, for example, would be a possible solution. I don't think it would run on solar power. We do have, military ships at sea that run on nuclear power and uranium. So, maybe that's one solution so you don't have those emissions. But we are moving toward it. But the bottom line is, Jim, if there's money to be made doing it, and a part of this whole green movement is because of money, it'll probably happen.
Is solar one of the hottest sectors that you're looking at right now?
Oh, I've been looking at it for a couple of years. I mentioned it just a few minutes ago. I mean, we've been pounding the table on it now. I think it's a couple of years already. In fact, I highlighted it at the World Outlook Conference in February 2018. We actually brought that up as a possibility and reasserted that last year in 2019. And, the stocks got a little overdone here. I mean, they went straight up in the last few months. So, I mean, frankly, I think they need to pull back here a little bit. But, listen, I was putting solar power in on my house in the 1980s. When I lived in Sedona, Arizona, I was putting my solar power up to run a well, so we can pump water with energy without using electrical energy. And, some of my relatives, parents, they had solar panels or solar tubes, and maybe it's a lot different, way back in the 1940s to heat their water in their houses. I know one in particular instance in Florida where they were doing that way back, and then maybe even in the 1930s they were doing it. So the use of solar energy, believe me, is nothing new. It's run its cycles. The cost of producing it and how it's applied obviously has changed over the years. But it's not a new concept. It's been around, like I say, almost 100 years. So it's finally coming into its own. So, sounds great to me. I'm all for it.
There's a suburb in Vancouver that has solar heating tubes on the roof that warm up your warm water, because one of the big electrical expenses for people is your hot water tank. So if the water going into it's hot already, it lowers your cost.
Absolutely. The tankless water heaters that are out there, of course, not many of those are not solar, but they run on natural gas, helps conserve energy and produce more efficient use of, water. And so a lot of technology out there, is definitely, positive for all of us. And, there's opportunities with the individual companies and stocks, and hopefully we can identify those. But they go back to your initial question. Yeah, I still like solar. I don't think it's over. You got to decide if you're in it for many years. You're trading some of these stocks. Some have just been explosive here in recent couple of weeks. Some stocks, I think it was JKS Solar, it went from like 30 to 80 or 90 in a matter of a couple of weeks. Canadian Solar, CSIQ has had a big run. Solar Edge, which is an Israeli company. I mean, the stock was 80 or 90. I think it got to 320 in the last week or 10 days. I mean, the point comes, unless you think these stocks are like Tesla, that are 300 and they go to 2,000, it's tough to, chase them here unless you're just in them from the long term and you've been in them for a while and you're just sitting tight. So the answer to your questions, I think, they're pretty solid, but they're overextended here.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Value from success. Growth in discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, has gold topped out for the time being?
Well, I felt so, but we're already into a cyclical bullish period here, and there's a lot of ways to look at it. I've got a lot of research on this, and some of the seasonal patterns are positive into the first quarter of next year. So I don't think it's over, and I think we're just in a little choppy corrective phase here. But as time moves on and steam doesn't get rolling on some of these gold stocks and gold and silver, I'm going to become more and more concerned about it. So my original feeling is, my model's set up into the end of the year, so I'm going to stick with that for now. And we are somewhat in a choppy corrective period, but this is not unusual in September, October, as gold, can move with stocks, as we saw back in March, and we've seen in other big market moving events. It doesn't necessarily move inversely, as so many people think is the case. So, and the U.S. dollar, I think, started to uptick here the last day or two again. We'll see if that gains momentum, and that wouldn't do any good for the precious metals. But, I mentioned in my newsletter, it was a research that I saw way back in the year 2000 from an old good friend of mine who pointed out there could be a big cyclical peak in 2020, and he predicted this, 20 years ago. And I'm saying to myself, is it possible that, we're really in a blow-up phase here? And everybody's sitting here thinking this is the beginning of a huge move to huge numbers, which we've been hearing about for a long time, or not. And I guess we're going to know more by the end of the year or into early next year if this was a flash in the pan, another, trap for the bulls, so to speak, thinking that this is the beginning of a new move when it could have been a blow-off when we got up toward near the 2100 level. I think it was 2060, rather than the beginning of a new sustained move. So I'm keeping my options open. I mean, I could see where that was a bull trap and it's over for gold, and we can see a 50% correction or some huge number which would surprise everyone, or maybe we run up one more time and then we get a bigger correction. So I watch the numbers and trying to keep an open mind, but I'm not, I don't sit there and hold tons of physical gold and just sit there and think this is the best way to invest and trade. We've already learned that it's volatile like anything else, and you can say it's a store value, which it has been for 5,000 years, but it does have huge price fluctuations. So I guess if you're thinking that it just want to store value and all hell's going to break loose, and you just got to own something that you think over thousands of years will hold value, even though the price changes dramatically, then gold is for you. I'm more of the view you got to trade it like stocks, and you can own a few coins, and if you like some of them, they're beautiful. from a numismatic point of view. That's great. So let's just see what happens here. I would say giving it the benefit of the doubt for now. And if we get confirmation that this is the beginning of the huge big move that everybody's been dreaming about, we'll know pretty soon in the next few days or couple of weeks and into the end of the year, and we'll take it from there.
Mark, can you remind our listeners again about your special offer?
Sure. At VRTrader.com, you get 50% off of any of the newsletters, including our metal resource letter, which does cover the gold market and lithium and uranium and all kinds of cool stuff, as well as energy. The promo code is 2020 half off, 2020 HALFOFF. So thank you for mentioning it, Jim.
My guest has been Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. He was speaking to us from Arizona. If you have any questions for Mark or the show, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.